everyone. I'm Sherold Barr of SheroldBarr.com, and I'm an entrepreneur, business coach, and mindset expert. I'm interviewing women entrepreneurs and talking to them about the story of their business and having them talk about the backstory a little bit, about the challenges and the successes and lessons learned in building their business. And today I'm interviewing Mary Gassen. Hi, Mary.
Hi.
Mary Gassen is an operations and finance expert with a passion for artisan food producers, restaurant owners, bakers, food truckers, and all-around food people. She helps her clients better understand their businesses so they can grow and become more profitable. Mary began her career as a professionally trained chef and spent the last 20 years fusing her love of food with her analytical strengths to make the operational and financial side of food businesses run a little smoother. She's no stranger to operations large and small, having led major restaurant brands like Il Fornaio through openings and expansions, as well as owning and profitably managing her own small business, the Noe Valley Bakery, and that's in the San Francisco area. Mary's company is called Launch, and this is Mary's sweet spot, representing the very best of her love of learning and her natural sense of empowering others. She has a huge passion for funky and unique people, believing that they make our cities wonderful places to live. And she understands the daily grind of being a small business owner. And she knows the value of quality consulting, delivering it without the sticker shock. She can usually be found hunting for new food finds, geeking out on efficiency systems, and cooking at home for friends while drinking excellent wine. And Mary, it's such a pleasure to have you here. Our cities all need you.
Yeah, thank you. It's great to be here.
Because I live in Portland, Oregon, many of you know that, and we have a thriving food community here. And you're down in the San Francisco Bay Area, and it's just a mecca down there. So, Mary, it's an honor to have you, and I would love to have you talk to folks out there because I think you're fairly unique in that you're really specializing in this financial and systems operation, just really systems. And you also have a keen sense of strategy as well. Tell us about how you got into why you started Launch. Let's hear about your why. Why did you start Launch? And tell us more about how long you've been in business and the story of this business.
Yeah, so it really is what my bio says is that I'm just super passionate about food businesses succeeding. I don't want the whole world to get taken over by Starbucks and Chipotle and the chains. I love, when I go to Portland, I love going to the little coffee shop where they're spinning vinyl records and making canapés and making amazing cappuccinos, and they're 25 years old. That's what I think makes cities great places. But frequently those people that go into a business for the passion like that don't necessarily know how to run the finances of their business. So my idea is to bring the two together and to teach them to not be afraid of the financial piece of it and to really make a success out of what they love doing.
Yeah, and I think as I'm sitting here listening to you, your work crosses over into any business that's anyone who's a small entrepreneur, because this is the most important foundation of any business is the financials, tracking the numbers, and yet it's one of the things that's most avoided. I see this with women and money, same thing there. So what you're doing for this particular niche, right now your niche there, but I can see this translating to so many other businesses.
Yeah.
So why did you decide to help other entrepreneurs? Let's talk about that. And how long have you been doing this?
So I've been doing it about 5 years, but in the midst of that 5 years, a friend hired me to help them open a restaurant in Napa Valley, and I couldn't resist.
Fabulous.
So I have been doing it really in earnest for about 2 years, and I think I really got into it as a way of giving back to my community at this point in my life.
Basically, what you're doing with these entrepreneurs, some of them are different size businesses that you're working with now. Tell us what you're doing. Are you teaching them? Are you grooming them on these systems, and what kinds of systems, in a sense? Let's talk about that.
Well, I think the foundation of a lot of what I do is creating accurate financial statements, firstly, and then looking at them regularly and analyzing them. And then third is to create plans from that process. And so, depending on where the person is in that process, it could be a person that doesn't even have their business entity set up or know how to track their receipts or anything like that, and getting them set up initially from the beginning. Or it can be somebody that's already got a business that's operating successfully,
Mm-hmm.
but they just aren't maybe holding up. The food business is a very low margin business.
Mm-hmm.
And so it means that you have to be ever vigilant, and teaching people how to look at their financial statements and how to know where to spend their time, where the time will be best spent to affect the bottom line.
Yes, because there's a lot of waste in the food business. And you've really got to know, be watching profitability.
Yeah. In the bakery business, we dream of shelf life, right? We've got no shelf life. Everything we make is one day and we're done. So a lot of it has to do with anticipating what the demand is going to be and then making that just exact thing. And but each business is different. Some businesses have plenty of shelf life, and but they need to work on pricing strategies, or they need to negotiate new rates with shippers, and there's just all kinds of different things. But it's like my philosophy is every single line item on the P&L needs some attention.
Mm-hmm.
In the food business, that's how you make it work. And it's tiring. I mean, we've been doing the bakery for 20 years.
Wow.
And sometimes you just feel like, I don't want to pay attention to it right now. I want to pay attention to something else. But when you come back to it, it's still the same fundamentals. So.
Yes. And I think it's so wise. It's true for any business, what you're saying about profit and loss statements. It's so important. So starting a business, you've been doing this now for yourself for a couple of years. So what are the challenges that you've faced and that you see your own clients facing when they're doing a startup? I mean, what are you seeing and what have you faced that might be similar?
Yeah, so I think for me, there were two really big challenges at two different stages. So at the very beginning, I said, I'm just afraid that nobody will hire me. That was my thing. And I had a coach that time who said to me, change it to my people will hire me. And just changing that sentence made me feel, totally different about it. Like, yeah, okay, it's not no one will hire me. It's the right people will find me, my people. And then the biggest challenge then was being able to charge my value. I remember when I first started, I couldn't even say I charged $100 an hour. I couldn't make the words come out of my mouth, and I'm way beyond that now. So it was that I remember somebody coaching me, a friend. I reached out to a mentor, and she made me role play.
Yes.
And she made me say, okay, I'm going to come to you for consulting, and I want you to tell me how much you charge. And I could barely make the words come out of my mouth. And then I think the next stage was I had some initial success in my consulting firm, and then I ran out of clients. Everyone had run their course. I'd done a couple of great budgets, and I'd had some word of mouth, and I had one regular client, and then all of a sudden I had none. And that was when I came to you, I just was seized up in a panic, and fear was my worst enemy. And I just thought, I need to quit. I can't, I'm at this point in my life, and I can't do something 8 hours a day that is not making me any money at this point in my life. So it was fear, getting over the fear, I think, at this point.
Yeah, and actually, what you just said about your clients and you is exactly what I see, and I remember going through it. I think that the what I'm hoping is the value that you're sharing your story is that others out there say, it's not me. I'm not the only one that feels this way. And
Sherold, you said to me in our very first discovery call together, I said, I don't have any clients. I have this business that's fully functioning, ready to go, and I've got nobody to do it on. I've got nobody to work with. And you said, and I said something like, I lost my confidence. And she said, oh, we all lose our confidence when we lose our clients.
mm-hmm.
And I was like, not alone. All of a sudden, I wasn't alone.
Yeah.
And that is a big, meaningful, that was a big aha for me.
And I have seen you transform so much and, move to confidence. And then as we've talked, it's this saying, new level, new devil. Every time now you've got your clients, you're at this whole new level, and we want you to move up, and you're almost too busy. How will you move up? And that sort of thing. But there's always this edge of moving forward. And the fear is the biggest thing that you're going to conquer as a new entrepreneur. Mm-hmm. And also just staying put, staying in the game and not quitting, because
right.
I see how we could rationalize ourselves out of being a business. This is not my comfort zone. I don't like to ask for money. I don't like to do this. And I see it all the time. And I think the ones that just can stay and work through your, whatever it is, the dragon on your journey at this point, that's what it is. The other thing I want to say is you said, I loved it when I heard you say, I couldn't ask for the value. And what you did is you had teased apart your self-worth from the value of your services. And I see that as a very muddy, mucky kind of thing with the entrepreneurs. And even I used to say in the very beginning, I'm going to charge what I'm worth. It's like, well, that's a lot of money in my game. Mm-hmm. If I really look at what I'm worth, it's priceless. And what I'm charging is the exchange of value for the services that I'm giving. And so I want to applaud you for that and note that. So if anyone watching is saying, I'm going to charge what I'm worth, stop it, because you are worth more. I'm going to charge the value of my services. What would you share to others that maybe might help them?
One of the biggest things I learned from you was that I need to have an income goal all the time. That's one of the things I learned from you, is that you need to say, okay, this is where I'm going. Because when I had zero, it didn't seem like it was possible for me to get to $5,000 a month. But we set that anyway. You said, well, how much do you want to make? And I said, I want to make $5,000 a month as my first goal. And you said, okay, there's our goal. And then we set we were using tools to get to that goal, and we're not going to stop until we get to the goal. And that, I think, has really been important, because if I just said, oh, I want a client, that doesn't mean anything, right? And so I learned that. And then you taught me that doing workshops and having speaking engagements and networking and constantly making those connections and getting people to sign up for my email newsletter is very important, because then I sort of bring that, then I'm providing content to them, and you never know when one of those people will then pull the trigger and become a client or refer me to somebody. And so I've been just remembering that. It's like I have reached out to there's a really cool place in Oakland called the Food Craft Institute. Oh. It's just perfectly in my wheelhouse. And they do things like beer classes in beer making, the business of beer, it's called. What could be more fun than that? Yeah. So I reached out to her a couple of times, and she hired me. She hired me first to come speak to her class, which was like a basic artisan food business class. And I came and just told my story, essentially. And then I reached out to her again recently and said I would love to teach a workshop. And of course, she said, perfect timing for this email to land in my inbox. I'm thinking about doing some smaller classes. I'd love to have you do it. What would you like to teach? Mm-hmm. And so then I presented stuff to her. So that's kind of that's one of the big things I've learned from you, is that's how you just keep in the game. And I just finished a 4-day conference in Charleston, South Carolina, with all kinds of women I'm a part of a group of women in the culinary world called the Les Dames d'Escoffier, and I just networked my butt off for 4 days, which was very hard. I had to eat a lot of shrimp and grits, and
Oh, I love
drink a lot
grits.
of Wenti wines, and but it was wonderful.
Did you make good contacts? Was
I
this?
made some incredible
Oh
contacts, and
no!
like I sat next to a woman who was a producer who did television shows and
Wow.
other things. She's in her 70s or something, and she's just lovely. And I said to her, I have this thing that I want to create. I want to create these little video programs for entrepreneurs because I still want to help small food entrepreneurs, and they don't have money to hire consultants. I want to have some affordable things that I can create that they can buy that'll serve them well and help them to make more money. She said, I'll help you. And I just almost burst into tears. And she said, I'll mentor you. And she said, I don't know what I can do, but I'll mentor you. So just reach out to me. So this is an accomplished women's organization, and they're very much in the business of helping each other, which is just amazing. So I made a lot of contacts like that.
Oh, I think that's priceless, what you just said, because I hold that vision that it's a new day for us women, that we no longer have this competitive notion where I'm going to keep this information to myself, and where we share and support each other. And I do feel like that is changing. And I think that's just beautiful that she said that to you.
Yeah, it made me cry. I went up to her the next day and said, I just can't believe that just touched me so deeply that you just said, I don't know what I can do, but you reach out to me and I'll encourage you through the whole process. Mm-hmm. And because I think it's a great idea. More than once did people tell me, wow, that's a great idea. So that really encouraged me. And, I think part of what it takes to keep going is to get targeted help when you need it. Yeah. And I encourage my clients to do it all the time. Get a bookkeeper.
Yes, yes.
Don't do your own books. Yeah. A bookkeeper. Get a CPA. Have a payroll company. Do your payroll. Don't be an expert in everything. Reach out and get that targeted help you need, and figure out the smart places you need help. So right now, I want to create this online tools for entrepreneurs, and I really don't know where to start. I mean, I kind of know what it is, and I know there's mechanisms for delivering it, and I buy some things so that I know how it looks from the consumer's point of view. But I need to create it, and I need to keep sort of my eyes on the prize, right. And get the targeted help I need. I need help to make it happen.
So what wisdom would you share? What would you say to someone who's struggling and they're going through fear or the mindset things, and they're isolated? Because I think that's a barrier as well to being an entrepreneur, especially solo entrepreneur.
Yeah, well, again, it goes back to getting that targeted help exactly when you need it. So for me, it was profit from your passion, because as I said, I was ready to go and had no clients. I was like all dressed up and ready to go to the party. And I found that I wasn't alone by joining that group. That made a big difference. Learning to make an income goal, looking at it all the time, that was a very important. Learning not to quit. You and I both love that Steve Jobs saying where he said he's convinced that 90% of being a successful entrepreneur is just tenacity. I misquoted him, but that's the idea. It's just, you've got to stick with it. And if you don't stick with it, you for sure won't be successful, right? I think that for me, it was learning how to get clients and keep my business going. And now I've got this new challenge that I'm setting for myself, which is learning to make some online programs and be able to create them and deliver them. So that's my next new challenge.
Yeah, that's a way to leverage. And you've met and exceeded probably that goal we started for you. And there's something magical I want to say about that. When you set an income goal, so like if you say to yourself, I want to make $10,000 a month, that's pretty magical. And when you do that, then there's a system that it's not pie in the sky. It's like, oh, I want to make X amount of money. We work backwards to figure out how will you do that without working yourself into the ground. and it's leverage, and
Yeah.
that's exactly the place you are. So you've built this foundation. Now you're at this leverage point, and we call it top level income. That's another way to, there's other things you can do. Maybe make digital products that people who can't afford maybe to work with you or a class, but they're going to get that first step and help so that they stay in the game too. So
Some of my ideal clients that I absolutely love, like those funky guys in Portland making the canapes, I love them, but they don't know they need a consultant, and they think consultants are too expensive.
right.
So they're not going to even seek me out because they think, oh my God, I'd have to pay $10,000 to have, that kind of help. I would like to reach them with something that really would help them. And then maybe when they do make it where they got 4 coffee shops, then they would need me for something, more strategic or whatever. They're never going to get to the 4 coffee shops unless they make the first one successful, right?
Exactly. And that it's so wise, Mary. It's been such a pleasure to get to know you and to work with you and to see where you are today. I've always told you this. I seem to hold the bigger vision until you can catch up, and you've caught up. And I can see that now it's the next step. Double that income goal, Mary.
All right.
Because I'm sure you're going to get to it. Thank you so much. I so enjoy this. If you like this interview, if you want to shout out or say hi to Mary, put something in the comments below and just let us know that you're listening and that these are helpful for you. So thanks again, Mary.